Hello everyone. As most of you probably already know, this weekend is going to be double Dungeoneering experience and tokens, so I thought I'd make a little Dungeoneering mini guide to help out some people who might not have dunged much since the EOC was released or just might want some tips in general. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is binds, and so with binds, they actually increased the amount that you can have, and they made this whole bound item thing up here, but that's not the point of this video. I'm just going to say what binds you should have at the different levels. So at level 50 you can have 3 items bound. So what you want is a melee plate body, a range weapon, and a melee weapon. And the melee weapon, it's best to have the highest level 2H sword that you can have, but if you can have a primal maul but only a Prometheum two-hander, then it's better to have the primal maul. For bows, if you're well, of course hex is the best option, but if you don't have a hex and you really want to be pro about it, you should use a short bow, because the thing with short bows is that if you stack range attacks, so if you do an attack and then you use the ability right after, the damage stacks, and that's a really good way to range because it just maximizes your damage. So you use an auto attack and then you use the ability. And with short bows, since the auto attacks are a little bit faster, they're a little bit better. But longbows also do have advantages. So for example, longbows allow you to use defensive abilities like resonance, preparation, rejuvenate, which is a really good one, and they also give a bunch of defense and life point bonuses. So it's really up to you. If you're looking to be as efficient as possible, then you should use a short bow over a longbow, but a hex is still the best. So if you can get a hex, then use that. Also, along with the bows, if you're using a longbow and you're putting it in your bind setup, make sure that it goes before the 2H or before your melee or mage weapon, because that way it'll be equipped when the dungeon starts, which will give you a bunch more health. As you can see here, the life bonus on a hex is 1485, which means that when I start a dungeon, if my hex is equipped, I start out with that much extra life points, which can be very nice. Also, along with the range and melee hybriding that I've just mentioned there with the binds, you should have a Desperado ring and a quick switch to Berserker. That'll give you the best damage output for melee and range. And okay, so next, those are the binds. If you're only 50 dungeon, you only have 3 binds. But if you get to 90, you can get an extra bind, and in that case I recommend getting range legs, or you could also get a staff. From what I've seen, Mage isn't anywhere near as useful as range or melee in Dungeoneering, so I don't use it, but it's an option. It's not too bad. And then at 120 dunge, I mean, you probably have experience if you've gotten to there, but I'd probably, well, I use a blood necklace. You could also switch that out with a staff. Yeah, either way. Okay, so that's about it for binds. So the next thing is action bars, and you will need to be switching between multiple action bars since you'll be hybriding and there aren't enough spaces on one action bar. The 2 action bars I have here, I'll put screenshots of them in the description, but yeah, you can mix and match things, see what works for you. And I like having anguish on one action bar, and I don't have my turmoil prayer on my melee action bar because I have it as my quick prayer. So I don't know, you can mix and match things around and see what works for you. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. There isn't a whole lot more. The only other thing I'd recommend keeping in mind is that monster weakness matters significantly more in the EOC. So when you're fighting things, make sure that you take a look at what their weakness is on the target screen there. Otherwise, it could take a lot longer to kill things. And yeah, so sorry it wasn't a really major guide, but hopefully it is helpful for this weekend. And I also wanted to give a big thanks to Miles E, who helped out significantly with this guide. He answered a lot of questions I had. Also, if you haven't seen it, I think there was a problem with the sub boxes earlier today, and the video I uploaded about my player-owned ports progress didn't show up because it didn't get all that many views yet. So if you haven't seen that, take a look at the annotation on the screen here, and thanks for watching.